Well, hey, my friend. Welcome to Creatives on Fire, the go-to podcast for content creators looking to grow their audience as well as their income. I'm so excited you're here. I'm your host, Melanie Ferguson. Welcome back to the podcast, you guys. This week, I'm so excited. I have in my new friend, Mr. Robert Wagner, also known as Rob or Fizz, over in some of the social media platforms, who has been blogging for over 4 years. And in the last 2.5 years has kind of pivoted over into the Amazon space. And I cannot wait to hear all of your hacks and ideas and tips for people who have struggles in the Amazon program, probably even just getting into it. So, Robert, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me on. Really excited to do this.
Of course, of course. So, take us back to blogging, because I think a lot of the listeners have either had a blog before or have considered blogging. Tell us about that journey.
Well, I got into it. I remember, so there was a course I saw, like a lot of people, you kind of get into these phases where you start looking around and you're like, somebody says, I made X amount doing something. And you're like, no way. And something just caught my eye one time. There's a blog course. It was pretty popular at the time. And I don't know how I convinced my wife that it was a good idea. It begged probably. And I just got really good at it. Like I was committed to the process. I was working on it every single day. It still is. It's a health and fitness blog, primarily focused around blog articles. I'm a certified personal trainer with NASM. And so I had a pathway there to write articles to help people with different things like dietary stuff. I'm also a certified nutrition coach. So like diet stuff, different workout programs, and of course, affiliate like review articles, right? That I could make affiliate commissions through. And it did really well. Like it actually scaled way faster than I ever thought possible. And so when Amazon Influencer Program came across my eyeballs, to be honest, I didn't quite know what it was. I just saw some people saying that they were making good money at it, and it's through videos. And I'm like, I'm making videos. I think I can do that. So I applied. I got through the review process, and all of a sudden I was in. But it all really kind of came because blogging had done so well for me and opened my eyes to like, oh, this world does exist for regular people. And that's how I kind of got to where I'm at now.
I love that your story is that you could follow a system, make it work for you online. It probably freed up some flexibility from whatever you were doing before, and really opened your eyes to making money online, which I think is what a lot of people listening are looking to do. So I know that before we hit record, you were kind of mentioning about how unhelpful the helpful update was
Yes.
for
Yeah.
me and for you. And so how that made you actually lean in harder to this program. So tell me about that.
Even before I had lost, and then before that came, I was already in AIP, an influencer program at that point. So then whenever that content update hit, I spent a year fighting it, trying to recover that website and also building the Amazon influencer stuff at the same time. And so I was really kind of doing both. And then whenever I sort of realized that Google was not coming back, it really kind of allowed me, if nothing else, to free up that time that I was spending trying to keep it from drowning. It already drowned. I just wasn't admitting it, and really kind of put those eggs that were in that basket into Amazon Influencer Program, which at that point I could look around and see the writing on the wall that it was really kind of in its beginning infancy stages and really kind of turning into something bigger than what I think that I realized it was at that point.
You mainly focus, I believe you said, on the on-site. So tell us a little bit about that.
I create videos for products or for brands. I have an Amazon dashboard that I upload those videos to, or sometimes it could be pictures or collages or different things. And I submit those. I tag the product that I made the content for. And hopefully, if Amazon deems me worthy or the video worthy, or if there's space for me, honestly, sometimes they'll put that content that I made, usually video, on that product listing. So like whenever you're shopping on Amazon and you're clicking around the pictures and stuff at the top, and you see eventually a video that appears, like that's me. I make those types of videos, and it works similarly from like a commission standpoint, like offsite. If you drive traffic from your blog or from your YouTube to Amazon, and then somebody buys something through that link, then you might be in line for a commission. The on-site thing is pretty much very similar to that, where I make the content. If somebody watches that content and it convinces them to buy a thing that they weren't sure about or whatever the case is, then I might be in line for a potential commission there. So it's just a different pathway to commission in that whole world through Amazon. And to me, it's one of my favorites because driving traffic is very, very difficult. I mean, as a person that's been on YouTube and as a person that's had a blog, and and have been down that road and still on that road in many ways. The on-site thing with Amazon, you don't have to worry about, there's no driving of traffic, right? Amazon basically takes the thing that you made and goes, okay, well, this is going to go on the product listing. And if somebody watches it, and so for me, I create content, I submit it to Amazon, and I move on to the next piece of content. I don't have to worry about running ads or, how many people are clicking onto my website this time. Amazon basically takes it from there. And if the video converts, they'll make sure to highlight it so people can see it.
Yeah. So on the strategic, let's dive into that. I love how one of your videos one time said that you did some independent research. And what you found was that the more videos, the more diluted your commission would become. So, with them still inviting people, is there a strategy behind finding products that don't have any influencer videos yet?
Yeah, it's a combination of things, right? Amazon says in order to make money, ultimately for on-site videos like the type we're talking about here, really there's only two rules that they say matter in order for that needle to move. One is you got to be working on products that are actually selling, right? You can make a million videos on products that are not selling. Amazon makes no money on products that aren't selling, which means I don't make any money on products that aren't selling. So that's the first thing, really, above all else, is you have to focus on products that actually have a sales history of some sort. And for the most part, Amazon will show you that right there on the product screen. It'll say 500 sold in the last month or 1,000 sold or whatever the case is. So that's the first thing. That's a must, regardless of the number of videos and anything else. It has to be selling. Now, if it is selling, the second thing that Amazon says that matters is if it's selling, your video just has to get seen. So you have to have opportunity for visibility. So if somebody is looking at a new mouse pad or a wallet or whatever the case is, if they look on there and there's already 10 other influencer videos on there, that page can only hold so many videos. Usually it's like a max of 10 in one of the carousels. And so there's no place for you. So if you make a video for that, you're hoping that Amazon bumps somebody else out for you to have space. And then it's only a matter of time then before you get bumped out. So typically what I do is I target products that are selling, usually the more, the better. And then also I try to balance that with products that have little to no influencer saturation on them. If it's zero, it's wonderful. That doesn't happen a lot anymore, but it happens more often than people probably think. But that's really kind of like the magic is walking that tightrope. The more something sells, the more other influencers are going to be there. It's shiny, it's exciting, it's sexy. You're like, if somebody sells 10,000 units a month, all of a sudden it's got a bunch of videos on it because people start seeing dollar signs in their mind, not realizing that every other influencer is doing the exact same thing as them. So it's trying to find like that really kind of sweet spot of something that's selling well, but not so well that it gets extremely highlighted by other people. Now, the strategy to finding those, you can do that in a lot of different ways. There are tools that help you find these types of products once you feel comfortable at that point to do that. Some of they're either like extensions. Some of them are just like maybe there might be some actual like software stuff, mostly extension type stuff that can help highlight those products for you that will show you that information. So you don't have to do a bunch of clicking into each product and looking. It can show you sometimes that information all on one page. But ultimately it's got to be something, right? There's this old saying of like the best thing that's going to work for you is the thing you actually commit to. There's a lot of people that have those tools that never commit to them and get nowhere. And they might even turn around and blame the tool. And ultimately it's because they just didn't commit to that particular process. There's some people that could do the whole thing manually and make more money than somebody that's got a tool if they're willing to commit to it at a certain level that the person with the tool is not. So there are things to make that easier. But I am a big believer ultimately that as long as the person can internalize and be serious and committed to the process, then almost any strategy can work. There's a pathway there to do it, as long as it's also willing to be teachable and make adjustments and things like that if things aren't working. But that's a long answer to a pretty simple question. But it's, yes, there are ways to find those types of products manually or through like automations or software. But at the end of the day, like I said, somebody has to actually like use those things or do those things for it to work. The program relies on us to do our part. And if we don't, then, the needle just doesn't move the way it's supposed to.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit. Let's shift gears. If you are new to the influencer program, not the associates, which is different, the
Okay.
influencer program, and you have a storefront and you've kind of dabbled in the commissions and you're a little disappointed, everyone who is part of the influencer program has access to creator connections, correct?
Mhm.
So explain creator connections and how we can best utilize that without losing our minds for finding because that sounds like a lot of steps for a creative to like stop everything. It's enough to go find a link, but then you got to find the link with the less videos. You got to find the link that pays more commission. All the things.
Yeah. Yes. So Creator Connections is a program within Amazon, and it works for offsite and onsite. It was really originally created for offsite for people that are driving traffic to Amazon, but it does work for the onsite video things too. And ultimately, it is what I'd probably call its own sort of ecosystem within Amazon, where brands create what they call campaigns, and these campaigns are those brands' attempts to incentivize you and me to go out and make more content for the products within the campaign. So if I, for example, I'm looking if whatever this universal remote here, if this is my product that I'm selling, maybe I make a campaign for it. And so the people will hopefully go and make more content for this remote, right? And I'll offer them an elevated commission rate, usually quite a bit of an elevated comparative to like what you'd consider like the normal or whatever for this particular product on Amazon. And so me as an Amazon influencer or as an Amazon affiliate or associate, I'm often looking for those campaigns and those products in those campaigns because of that elevated commission rate. If I can make content and make money on it through commissions from Amazon, that's awesome. That's great. But if I can also then find a campaign on top of that through Creator Connections that's going to sometimes 5x the commission rate, sometimes 10x the commission rate, then that's really great. That's a big boom, right? And so Creator Connections really became a big, powerful thing. I'd say, especially over like the last 7 months, maybe 8 months. Once people realized that it worked for on-site also, it really took off. And there are a lot of people now in the Amazon Influencer Program that are actually making more commission per month on Creator Connection side than they are on the Amazon Influencer side. And
Well, that's what I was going to ask you was, so I heard you say something about it's layered. So not only do you get that Creator Connection seller additional commission, but you also still get your 2 to 4 or whatever
right,
percent from
yeah,
Amazon. And then, so on those Creator Connections, there's also that opportunity to request the product for free, like samples. How much of that do you do? Or do you typically just go ahead and get it to
yeah.
get it done?
I do a lot more now because I had to because of the extension that I made and because people were doing it. So all of a sudden I had to do it in order to make a system that worked for them that could do it. I do it a lot now, even when I'm not testing. And basically, so what that process is within Creator Connections, there is a brand messaging. So if you see a campaign from, if it's this back my remote and you saw that remote and you went, I would love to make a video for that remote. You have basically one of two options. You can buy the remote yourself and make a video real quick, which is a 100% sure way to get the remote. It costs you money, but you got it. Now you can make your content. You may not make your money back. You might. It's a risk, right? Or you can message that brand through the Creator Connection system and say, hey, I saw that remote. I think that's really cool. And I'd love to make a video for this. If you're interested in sending me a collaboration sample, I'd like to make a video for you, et cetera. You can request stuff from sellers. Sometimes sellers reach out to you on their own, all sorts of different things.
Go to neighbors, go to family members, do all of the things.
Because most people start with the stuff in their house, right? But that's not infinite. It runs out eventually. And so creating a consistent flow of never ending products really, for me as somebody that's been around for a bit, for people that are more successful for me and for people that are just starting out, we all have that exact same problem all the time, regardless of where we're at. This to me is the number one thing that Amazon influencers, if they want to find success, they got to be able to figure out the answer to that question for them. Like what makes sense for their life and their situation and their family and their finances or whatever. And it's the hardest one to solve because there is not a specific answer that works for everybody across the board. But if you can solve that problem, if you can create a consistent flow, a product pipeline coming out of products that actually matter, right? Not just any product. We don't want products that aren't selling. We want stuff that actually matters. If you can do that, that's where the switch is going to turn for people. People are going to look back and go, that's the part where I went from here and went to here.
It's back to the strategy.
Mhm.
So real quick, what would be your number one piece of advice for someone who wanted to do this full time?
Oh, it depends on, well, the product pipeline thing is the number one thing for everybody. But we've talked about that already a little bit. So the other thing that I would probably say is it is a consistency thing, right? And it is a strategy thing. When the influencer program started 4 or 5 years ago, people made a lot of money because it wasn't well known to the public. Other people were not showing up on the products very often. And so over the course of the last year and a half, as Amazon has continued to push it, it has highlighted the importance for coming up with some sort of plans or strategies or something. You just can't be somebody anymore that gets in and just I'm just going to make videos. It doesn't work anymore. Take a pretty decent amount of money that's sitting on the table right now, waiting for somebody to come and grab it and put it in your pocket. So there is a lot of opportunity out there for those that are willing to put the time and effort into learning how this stuff works.
I agree. And I think it's funny you mentioned that at the very end. It made me remember that, like, at the end of a lot of campaigns, they still have tons of money left over that they didn't spend on people creating content. So there's definitely room for everyone that wants to like give it a go with some strategy. So, also, before we part ways,
Yes.
I want to mention, because I know how humble you are, you have an amazing extension that I'm going to put a link in the description for, that people who are in this program who do want a shortcut to getting some of these more strategic statistics in order to work their business would really benefit from. So I'm going to put that below. It's called Oink. We mentioned it a couple episodes ago, but definitely check that out. And Rob has a group that you can join. He also has some coaching going on. So where can we find you online?
Well, oinkforinfluencers.com is the website where you can sometimes, and I put sometimes just individual videos, just Amazon influencer articles and things like that. Oink for Influencers is on YouTube. I got my channel over there where I do a lot of videos every week. And that's pretty much the primary two places. The Facebook groups you can get into whenever you download the extension. One of them is free, and then one of them is for subscribers that is more strategic and like probably gets in a little more like the weeds of stuff. So that's really kind of where people can find me at. I appreciate you mentioning that. It's an extension I was really proud of whenever I made it. And I, as an Amazon influencer guy first, I just wanted to make something that actually moved the needle and actually did something. And I felt like if it worked for me, then I thought it would work for other people. And so I try not to fill it with like fluff or things that don't matter. I try to actually create more money in people's pockets through this. So, I appreciate you mentioning that.
Definitely. All right. Thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate you asking me. This was a lot of fun. I love ranting about the Amazon influencer programs. Anytime that you want to do this again, I'm glad to do it.
Awesome. Thanks.